Welcome back, everyone. Welcome. That's April's hair there on the left. April, move to your left a little bit. The other left. There we go. That's April. Beth in the middle, me on the side. Welcome back, April. Been a long while. Good to have you with us.
Long way. Happy Christmas, Merry New Year, all the things.
All those things. Summer in Australia. April wins. Yep.
Yes.
So
definitely.
All right. Now, April has outside and 3 floors of lace to show us. Obviously not going to get it all in, but she's going to do whatever she can, hit the highlights. And it's just April, so don't pound on her with too many questions because she knows 20% more than I know, and I know nothing. So, yeah. But that's a lot of lace coming up. Every kind of lace you can imagine coming up. So we'll get the announcements out of the way in a hurry. Up on the screen, there are 3 URLs. And write these down because I'm going to take them down because I don't want anything in the way while April is showing us lace. So up on the top left where it says wetalkfiber.com/Cosmo, that's a new thread just right there above April's head. That's a new thread club, Cosmo Thread Club at Sassy Jack's. And right now Kim's basement is full of her store. So she's trying to sort through that and organize and do business at the same time. So give her a couple of days and that link will work. And what that is a thread club for Cosmo threads, and you'll get 20 skeins for $21 every month. $21 plus shipping for 20 skeins. And if you use the code FT for Fiber Talk, FT Cosmo, the first time you order, you'll get 5 Fiber Talk Blue skeins for free. So the first time you'll get 25 skeins for $21 plus shipping. After that, 20 skeins for $21, and you can collect all the Cosmo threads that way. So that's coming up, and it's wetalkfiber.com/Cosmo. Then down at the bottom, right there under Beth's chin, is the link for the Mary Jane Fry 1861 sampler that Amanda Rowe has made available to us. That link will allow you to download. That's a free sampler. You can download it. It's a beautiful little thing. And get the chart for free, compliments of Amanda Rowe. So that one's down there. And then up at the top, just above my head, right there, wetalkfiber.com/lace. That is the link that will give you the PDF ebook that April put together about this whole lace Festival of Lace exhibit. So download that, and then you'll be able to enjoy it after this thing. But that gives more information about the exhibit, what's behind it, who contributed, all those things. Wonderful little thing. So download that. That's free too. So all up here on the house. And then, the winners from Wednesday, you'll probably already have your charts. Melanie Smith, Nanette McDougall-Dykes, and Linda Dalemans were the 3 winners from last Wednesday. But I'm sure you already have them because we sent them out like the next day, I think it was. Sunday's guest, Jane Dunewald. You're going to enjoy that one because we get to talk about cool stuff. I forget. Yeah.
Creative. Very creative.
Yeah, thanks. Beth was with me. She remembers more than I did. So that'll be Sunday. Next Wednesday, Ronnie Rowe is going to be with us to show us some new designs. So join us for that.
Oh,
That's it.
yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, that's it. All right. Going to make April the full screen. Okay, write those links down now, folks. Write those links down because I'm taking them off, and we're going to make April full screen, and I'm going to shut up except for questions and let April just go nuts. So, all right. There's April.
Yes. Good, I can
All
stretch
right.
now. Got the
You can
space to
stretch.
breathe. Yeah.
All right. All that stuff's gone. Have at it, April. Show us lace.
Thanks, guys. So yeah, this is our Festival of Lace at Gallery 76, which is the Embroiderers Guild New South Wales. And as I warned Gary, it's 3 stories of every kind of lace. So we've been very broad in our interpretation of lace. So we have bobbin lace, probably the most traditional. We have needle lace, we have knitted lace, tattered lace, crocheted lace, woven lace. Got lace made out of telephone wire, lace down the front of a building. So, you know, it's very all-encompassing. So we're just going to be able to manage probably a few highlights today, but we'll see how we go. So this festival has been sponsored by our local council, the City of Canada Bay, and we are super grateful to them. And so the exhibition is part of the festival. We have workshops going on, taster classes, and we have a big 2-day conference coming up later this month as well, which is very exciting. So let me figure out how to switch the screen on this one, and I will take you round to our first board. Okay, so that's done, and I think there'll be a little bit of black. All right.
Good to go. Got it.
We're good to go?
Yep.
Hang on, it jumped for me. Okay, we're good. Fabulous.
I'm seeing out the front window. There we go.
Seeing out the front window. Well, here's the gallery. It's much more important. And we'll start with our exhibition panel. So as I said, we've sort of broken lace down into a whole bunch of different subcategories. So needle lace, bobbin lace, probably your main 2 categories. But you also have embroidered lace, knitted lace, tattered lace, crocheted lace, and machine-made lace. And we've got some examples of those, both historical and contemporary. So these 2 boards here are both needle-made lace. So these are like made without a base fabric normally, and this particular board is buttonhole lace, which is made of thousands of tiny buttonhole stitches. And there is dozens and dozens of varieties of this stitch and therefore of this style of lace. So some of the most well-known ones would be punto in aria, Venetian gros point, Venetian flat point, point de gaz, Alençon, Burano, etc. So I'll show you a few of my favorite ones. Probably the oldest piece on the board is this tiny little sample of Venetian flat point. This is from the 1600s, so it's very, very early example of lace, and it's sort of one which other styles evolved from, which is why we've included it, even though it's such a small little sample. So this is from the 1600s. We have a beautiful piece of Venetian gros point, so sort of large fat point you'd call it, from the 1700s, so sort of century later.
Okay, can I
Might
ask
even
a
be
question?
early 1700s. You may.
April, is it a little raised then? It looks raised.
It
on
is
that.
raised. So flat point makes sense. Gros point is fat point, literally in Italian or French. So you can see the raised sections there. They're built up using either a cord or bundle of threads, horsehair, sometimes historically, and the buttonhole stitch is then worked over that to give it that beautiful raised effect. This one's sometimes called rose point because of the rose images and because of the very fine picots that sort of join the pattern. Gros point can sometimes be a little bit heavier than this. So this is gros point or rose point, depending on how you would categorize it. But it's in absolutely amazing condition considering how old it is.
Man, it's stunning stuff.
Yeah, I really like this particular style of lace. The other one that most people sort of are familiar with is Point de Gaze, and this beautiful large collar is a Point de Gaze Bertha, which is the name for that sort of lace panel that you had across the front of dresses in, you know, we would say the Victorian era, but for you guys, you know, sort of that Civil War, Scarlett O'Hara, Gone with the Wind sort of style dress. And this would go down the front. So this is all buttonhole lace, and in this case, they're working over a net. which makes it a little bit different. But there's these beautiful, yeah, very floral. And again, these very, hang on, let's focus on that. These are very fine raised point, much finer than the grow point, but they are raised sort of accents again.
Yeah, just April, just settle on one of those. Yeah, right in there, just so we can just take in what that is. Wow.
That is just amazing.
Stunning stuff.
Yeah, it's so fine.
All worked on that net, that kind of tool stuff there.
Yeah, exactly. So this one probably would be a machine-made net. Actually, no, I think it's a handmade net, this one, looking at it. Sometimes they would use a machine-made net, but in this instance, I think it's handmade. So very, very, very time-consuming.
Wow.
And so you can understand how it was so coveted and expensive.
That thing looks like it's about the width of your forearm, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. It's just, well, actually not even. This piece is the width of my hand.
Oh, my word. Oh, that's huge.
And I have very small hands. It's massive. It's a huge, you know, maybe 5 inches down, you know. I'm not really good in inches. And so, yeah, it's massive, whereas the edge we were looking at before is probably about the same width as my hand. Yeah. I'll let you know, without finger spread. So,
wow.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. So this is a, you know, Point de Garde's handkerchief, and up the top we have 2 little samples of Punto in Aria, which again is a very early form of buttonhole needle lace. So that's up here. You can reach to it. So Punto in Aria evolved from cut work, which we talked about in our Italian exhibition. I've got some examples of on a different board. So Punto in Aria is literally stitches in the air. And again, it's sort of arguably the first evolution into sort of lace that isn't from a base fabric, I suppose, is how you'd classify that. Okay, so that's our sort of broad introduction to needle-made lace. You can also do needle-made lace working specifically on a net. So this is examples of Carrick Macross, which is sort of, if I go in close, it's a sort of sandwich style lace when you have a sandwich made of 3 layers. You've got machine-made net, a sort of very fine muslin, and embroidery. And they sometimes cut out one of those layers. So Carrick Macross was originally a French style, but imported to Ireland and then became associated with the town of Carrick Macross, which is how it's got its name. But it's a beautiful style of lace and quite a distinct embroidered lace style. Right. Now we also have a thing called needle tape laces. So tape laces are normally bobbin laces. It's the other way. But you can also make them out of a tape. So this is all embroidered tape laces. So in a bobbin lace, which we'll chat about later, you make the tape out of the bobbin as you go. In an embroidered lace, the tape already exists. It's like a machine-made braid, very fine. And then you will sort of manipulate that braid into shape to make the pattern you want. So this gorgeous collar it's called a princess collar with a Van Dyke edge. That's a sort of pointy bit, looks like a Van Dyke portrait. And that is all embroidered tape lace. So that tape, that line you can see would be a machine-made tape, and they literally sort of fold it into the shapes and attach it with, sort of, you know, join it with joining stitches. So that's a beautiful piece. A style that's maybe more familiar to a lot of people is princess lace. And this is a beautiful little princess lace handkerchief on black net. Princess lace is very popular on bridal veils. And it lasted quite a long time as a bridal veil style. So again, you can see that the braid has been manipulated into this pattern. You can see it looping over itself around and around and around. And there's some needle weaving embroidery on that as well. You can see the threads that make the very fine stems going in and out of that fine gauze.
Oh yeah. Go back.
So that's a lovely.
Go back and just rest on the corner so we can take that in. How that all loops around. Look at that.
Yeah, very, very fine, this piece. And normally there'd be white on white tulle. So having on black just really shows that pattern off a bit more, which is lovely.
Right. Wow.
What else is a particularly interesting piece? So there's a whole bunch here. I think I won't go into more of them because there's probably, but that's sort of, you know, maybe the three main subcategories of embroidered lace. That's historical. We also have contemporary embroidered lace. And one of our favorites are these pieces by a local Sydney artist called Maggie Hensel Brown. And she has used the same technique as historic, you know, 1600s Venetian lace, it's buttonhole needle lace, to make what she's called pandemic lace. So just as other laces have images of couples, flowers, etc., Maggie has made these stunning pieces with scenes from lockdown, which we can all appreciate right now. I'll start with this one up here. This one's called Quarantine Self-Portrait 1, lying on the bed, or lying scrolling 2020. And you can see her lying on the bed, covers off, bra off, on the phone, headphones in. She said, you know, scrolling through the phone, you know, your bank account to make sure you've got enough money to live off because COVID's been very stressful that way. But it's all done with these really, you know, traditional methods, but they're just, you know, so well utilized in this form, especially as it's a very slow meditative form. Sorry, Beth.
She was gonna, it's like she's telling a story.
Exactly. So she's actually speaking at our conference and she's speaking on storytelling in contemporary lace. So I'll show you the other pieces. You can ask which to go back to. This one's from 2019. It's called Self-Portrait at 28. So before the pandemic hit. And again, you've got her in the mirror with an iPhone. This is a very Australian phrase for anyone Aussie, like, yeah, nah, pretty good, thanks. It's sort of how our, you know, way of knocking it off to say, oh yeah, nothing's wrong, even if everything is terribly wrong. And there's this gorgeous motif down the bottom of a bottle of wine and a packet of chips or crisps, you know, Macca's crisps and wine glasses, which I absolutely adore.
Outstanding.
Worked in buttonhole needle lace.
And that's raised up. It looks like it's raised up off.
It is. So she's mounted them beautifully. So there's sort of 3 layers to it. So, and then it casts the shadow on the wall.
Oh, look at that. Outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
This one is paired with that last piece. It's called A Very Short Time Later. And again, it's another self-portrait. You've got this sort of gorgeous little coffee pot, you know, pouring coffee out, overflowing. And finally, his Quarantine Self-Portrait 2, Dreaming of the Pub 2020. So, you know, the bar if you're in the US. And it's her lying on the couch, laptop open, disregarded crossword, and above her in her sort of dream clouds, little women drinking raucously at a bar.
Oh man, that's superb stuff. Wow.
And it's so neat. She's got that story all being told in lace in a very interesting story. I mean, it's very neat. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh,
and like we all just relate to it so much. So yeah, they're same technique, but much more contemporary version of that. And yeah, absolutely love them. I've got another couple of contemporary needle lace pieces around the corner here, which I'll show you. I'll swing around. These are by another local Sydney artist called Nell Bryn, and she's looking at women's concerns about domestic violence and abuse. So again, a very similar technique, but she's included coloured threads into her work, or sort of more coloured threads. So again, beautiful piece, a lot more sort of raised work like the Venetian Grow Point. This one's called And Their Silent Screams Were Carried Away. So beautiful piece there. And then she has a gorgeous portrait of Virginia Woolf in very colourful needle lace.
Wow.
With a quote saying, "Lock up your libraries if you like, but there is no gate, no lock, no bolt that you can set upon the freedom of my mind." And I love that she's left the edges sort of hanging down beneath the frame, you know, unraveling, I suppose. So they're gorgeous pieces. And again, that they are, you know, needle-made laces.
Wow.
it's interesting how she's kind of manipulated, almost like it's black work. How black work, you know, you get the shadows and everything.
Exactly. And it's literally, I mean, it helps that it's sitting against our white gallery wall. But, you know, it's just incredibly, and I love that, yeah, as you say, like it's very similar to the shading techniques with the heavier stitches to black work.
But the detail in the eye, look at that. Oh, my word.
Yeah.
Beautiful work. Wow.
Great.
And what's the one in the
So
middle?
we'll move on to the middle one is one about mending her past, which is exploring that, you know, that Japanese idea of, I'm not going to say it right, kintsukuroi, that, you know, when they repair broken pottery with gold, and it sort of treats the breakage as like part of the beauty and the history of the object. And so you have this sort of, you know, very retro girl doll stitching herself back together with gold thread.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow. Powerful
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, very good.
Yeah. So that's needle lace for now. We'll move on to bobbin lace, and we've got some stunning pieces in frames and a few more on boards. So bobbin lace, unlike needle lace, is made using bobbins. You probably all would have seen lace bobbins before.
Yeah.
And these kind of, you know, they're pinned, so they work in pairs. So you pin the thread, attach it by a pin to a pattern, which is called a pricking, and then you work it from there. So bobbin lace is sort of, I'll use my label here to show you. Bobbin lace is sort of broken down to like two main subcategories, which is continuous bobbin lace and sectional apart bobbin lace. So in continuous bobbin lace, the pattern is worked all the way down, just continually without stopping. In sectional apart bobbin lace, you make the motifs continually with the bobbins, but then you stitch them together subsequently. You also have bobbin tape lace, which is like needle tape lace, but it's with bobbin. But in this case, it can be made either as continuous or as sectional lace. It could be either one. So some very well-known styles of bobbin lace would be Bedfordshire, Cluny, Maltese, sectional Brussels lace, Honiton lace. But I'll show you them on the board, which will be easier to understand what's going on. So this board on the left here is all continuous bobbin lace, all continuous with net, which again is a continuous bobbin lace style. So, and again, it's lace, just it spans the world. You know, it's very, very global, and some of the other laces are even more so. But for instance, this beautiful piece in the middle here, this is part of a sort of head scarf, head costume of Beverin lace, which is a Dutch form of lil, which we might have heard of, from the late 1800s. And it was worn by the donor's grandmother. So there's some damage because it's been worn a lot, but it's very, very fine. Up here is a gorgeous little sample of Bedfordshire lace. And it's got this sort of classic raised tallies, they're called, which is sort of, and the 9-pin edge, that sort of, again, sort of pointy Van Dyke style edge. So that's quite a well-known style of lace. Another sort of
April, can you just move in and rest on that so we can? Yeah, because I thought I saw a lot of little detail in the.
A lot of little detail, yeah.
Yeah. And that's all bobbin lace, huh? Wow.
All bobbin lace, yeah. So you're working again in the bigger pieces of bobbin lace. You can have literally thousands of bobbins working as you go, and trying to keep track of them is, you know, looks to me like a complete nightmare, to be honest.
Yes.
But more power to them. It's very impressive. This is Cluny lace, which is the same. It's sort of like, it's like Bedfordshire lace, the one we just looked at, but it's sort of got a more like sort of medieval aesthetic to it. It's named after the Musée de Cluny in Paris, but it's sort of a subcategory of Bedfordshire lace. But I just really love the pattern.
Yes.
On this one, it's just stunning.
Now, okay, now those little flowers, then they're right. They're part of the.
They're part of it. They all worked without stopping. Yep.
Wow.
And you know, this is a tiny sample. You know, if you can imagine doing this to fill an entire, you know, the entire hem of a dress or a collar, it is incredibly time consuming.
Man.
I just can't imagine. Can I see the castle that's above?
Yes,
The one that's
this is a scene. This is some Czech lace. It was worked by a woman in Prague, and it's a scene of Prague. We've also got, and again, just all continuous bobbin lace, but absolutely gorgeous. And we have a similar one of the castle. This is Russian bobbin lace, and again, you've got the sort of classic, Russian domes there. Bit of a different style to the Czech one, but absolutely gorgeous. It's called
it is
Vologda Russian lace. Is how you, as I say with my best Russian accent.
Well, it was spot on, April. It was perfect.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
And right at the top there, we have, this is a sample of a Maltese lace edge. You might have heard Maltese is one of the more well-known ones. It always features this little cross motif, the Maltese cross. That's how, and you can see it's there, it's in the edge, it's continuous. And that's how you'll spot Maltese lace. Maltese lace is normally made in silk rather than cotton or linen. So it's sort of got a sheen to it as well. But again, it's a lovely, lovely style.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, those little leaves in between too. That's just amazing.
Yeah, just rest right there till it focuses. Maybe back up just a hair. There we go. Wow.
And so that one's made with silk.
That one's made with silk. So
but there's
hard to tell, but it's just got a slight sheen to it.
There's very real texture to that too.
Mm-hmm.
Like those leaves have relief to them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They're sort of, I mean, they're not layered up. They just sort of have a bit of room to be shaped, I guess. Yes. Whereas with the Bedfordshire lace, you have almost layers going with those tallies on top.
Yeah, I don't even want to know how they do that.
Okay, so those are continuous. On our right is bobbin tape laces, and some of these are continuous and some of these are sectional depending on the lace. But again, you've got a really good variety of styles. These two are an Italian Milanese style. This one's called Cantu lace. And it's a continuous bobbin lace that's been, and it's just, a very, very fine braid. So this would be a dress front, that one at the bottom there. And above it is I think it's called a modesty. It's like a, little neck, ornament. But incredibly fine bobbin lace there. On the top is this collar. It's called Honiton lace. That's a very well-known style. It was originally popular, I guess, in the 1700s, but it had a sort of renaissance in the 19th century when Queen Victoria had her wedding dress made out of it and popularized it again. So most examples we have are from the 19th century. And these two collars here is a sort of another Honiton lace collar. A bit wider, but still beautiful. They'd sort of go down the side of a dress.
The detail's just amazing. Look at those leaves. I mean, it's just incredible.
And you've got these kind of little almost checkerboard sections. Let me just straighten that camera out. Yeah, the more you look, the more details you tend to find. Beneath it, this is a Russian braid lace. You've got the raised braid that they're working through it beneath. Beneath that is a Dutch bobbin lace, again from the 1700s, which is more like the Italian, in terms of fineness, but it's very flat, but very detailed and just beautiful. And then there's another, I really like the old ones. I think I've got a thing. This is 1700s piece of Italian braid lace, quite an early example, but just very, very enjoyable to.
Could you hold it still just a moment? Because how is that different than like the Battenberg lace? It almost looks the same from where I see it.
Yeah,
which is, I know, like it's a tape lace.
So the way I'll show you closely. So if you can see the braids here, they don't fold. like as they go around corners, the actual, tell me when it's in focus,
No, it is.
the actual braid just continues. There's no evidence of it being folded on itself as it goes around corners.
Right.
And so it's smoother. I'll show you. So again, on the Cantu lace, you can see that that sort of braid is smooth, like as if it's been cut out of fabric almost. Whereas if we scooch back to the needle lace board and find a good example. Okay, here. So on this handkerchief, you can see, you can tell where the braid has been folded. So on the corners, you can see it just looks a little bit heavier in each of the corners. That's where it's been folded over itself. And in that sort of floral, that flower bit there, you can see it's the lace is doubled up as it loops around itself or folds around the corner. So that's how you'd tell actually that's quite a good spot of it as well. Again, you can see it looping around and, you know, going back on itself there.
Right.
That's how you can tell a embroidered tape lace from a bobbin tape lace, if nothing else sort of, you know, makes sense. Now I have a gorgeous bit of bobbin lace down here that I mentioned before. This is made out of, hang on, let me swing the camera around. This is bobbin lace made out of telephone wires.
Oh.
So I got two old hand, and this is bobbin lace that she's made using, you know, the copper wires from old telephones.
Oh my.
So you really can make lace, you know, with anything. You can see it coming out of the receiver there.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
So yeah, this piece is called Conversations from the Past, which I really like because this exhibition has so much contemporary and historic lace. I feel like all the contemporary lace is sort of in conversation with the past, you know, even if it's as contemporary as you get with pandemic lace, because lace is such an historic art form and still kind of has those ties, it's hard not to be in conversation with it. So yeah, I love this piece. It's by an artist from Melbourne called Lindy DeDwen, who also did our bobbin lace building exterior, which I think I might show you now.
Okay.
You guys okay to come for a quick trip outside with me?
Hey, even if it looks like warm weather, we're into it. Yes. Hi,
Okay.
ladies.
I know I won't torture you with too much blue sky, but it is very blue.
Oh, the sky's
Okay.
blue? When did that happen?
Yeah, I know. All of you remember this? Yeah, this is what it looks like when the sun comes out. So this is our building, and we have been lace bombing the neighborhood. So as well as we've got lace in the trees out here. And so all around the neighborhood, we've got these little lace pieces hiding in trees, which were put together by Lindy DeDwen, Vicky Taylor, and a team of volunteers. So this is all bobbin lace in, you know, sort of rings hiding in trees. Gary saw that we've been, you know, going around with like a, I don't know, you call it rebels with spray painting the neighborhood. So you'll sort of see gangsters, exactly.
Gangsters tagging the neighborhood with lace. Yeah.
So you've got these sort of lace pattern tags around the hood as you walk around.
You're just so cutting edge, April. You're just so cutting edge.
I was saying I felt very badass, you know, spray painting things, even if it was lace. And then, so the same artist who did the phone has coordinated this amazing project making bobbin lace to go down the front of our building. So we're a 3-story building, and if you look on the right here, our stairwell is covered in these lace panels. I should be able to get a bit closer when we're inside. You can see them through the windows, but these are all handmade bobbin lace panels by volunteers. And then we got a cherry picker and installed them down the front of the building. And they're beautiful. So again, they've used sort of colorful thread to kind of blend it in. So if I can get any higher here.
Wow.
Oh,
so
amazing.
I'll show
What
you
did
them
they
when we
make
head
the
upstairs.
lace with?
It's just cotton, and they've stiffened it. It's just a cheap cotton, but we've stiffened it with you know, something to kind of make it survive the weather.
Yeah.
I'll show you again when we're inside up on a different story, because you can see it a bit better through the window. But it was a very big undertaking for both ourselves, you know, installing it, and the artist who did it.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's bobbin lace. I'll quickly show you this board, but we won't dwell on it. This is a board of mixed, hang on, spinning very slowly. This is a board of what we call mixed laces. So laces that use more than one technique. So there's, this one is a Romanian lace, which is sort of a mix of crochet, braid, and needle lace fillings. This beautiful mother of pearl fan is a Brussels lace, and Brussels lace is a combination of bobbin lace and needle lace. So it's a blend. So I like that piece a lot. So you can see it maybe more clearly. This is also Brussels bobbin lace. So you can see the bobbin lace is sort of the wider pattern, and then you have these needle lace fillings in the floral motif. So this is why it's called a mixed lace. So that's kind of the love child of everything we've looked at so far. Now, because of lace, as we've covered, is very, very time consuming, machine-made lace, of course, became very popular. And this is the board of historic machine-made lace. So basically the history of machine-made lace, and we chat about this bit in the lace supplement, just spans the arc of the 19th century. At the start of the century, in 1808, you have a guy called John Heathcote in Lancashire make a first sort of lace net making machine. And as you may or may not know, these machines were the targets of the Luddite movement. So the Luddite originally wasn't someone who refused to get on Zoom, but was someone who was they were professional knitters and lace makers who were being forced out of work by these lace machines. And they started a protest movement. Again, this is at a time where you couldn't form a union legally, and they started breaking into the mills and factories, breaking the machines. I think they even assassinated a mill owner at one point. And the government cracked down hard. They sent the army out after them. At one point, there's more British troops fighting the Luddites than there are, with Wellington's army fighting Napoleon, or whoever. And yeah, so a whole bunch of the Luddites are hung. Many others end up in Australia as convicts, which we're very proud of. But you can see how the production of these machines just completely, overturns their lives. And at the end of the 19th century, you have the invention in Switzerland, and I'll mispronounce this, of the Schifferli mechanical embroidering machine. And so that was sort of the first mechanized embroidery. And the two things sort of combined to form mechanized lace. You also had a thing called chemical lace, which became known as Schifferli lace, where you would embroider. So this is Schifferli lace here. The pattern is machine embroidered over a fabric that's been treated to dissolve in a chemical bath. So it's not very environmentally friendly, but it's a great deal cheaper to produce than a bobbin lace or a needle lace, much more time efficient. And so you can tell a chemical lace by the sort of fuzziness of the threads as they've been machine worked, and then from the dissolving of the base fabric. I don't know if you can see that it's fuzzy there. It could just be but it's less clean than other laces. This is a chemical lace mat, and again, it just looks less. It's still very fine because again, machines have quite that ability, but the actual threads are just sort of fuzzy. This collar is
April. Would you say that the machine lace, in terms of quality, is a step down from handmade, or is it
100%? No, it's definitely a step down, and I don't think anyone at the time would have questioned that. But the visual effect is there, and so the fact that this was now suddenly affordable meant that more people could wear it. For the first time, you have like lace curtains, Victorian lace curtains, and that look, because you can make them en masse. Whereas before that, even the very rich would be absolutely mad to have lace curtains, really, because it's so much work going into it. But they started trying to mimic, handmade lace styles, so that you almost, trying to make it difficult to tell. So these two pieces are mimicking that, Venetian grow point we looked at earlier. So the backing is all machine done, but they've worked over the top of it with hand stitches to give that raised effect. Oh. But it's certainly heavier than, and again, that sort of furry, fuzzy stitching that you see in machine embroidery. This is one piece I really like. It's not very well made, but this is a a piece from commemorative lace made for Queen Victoria's Jubilee in 1887. And so you can see that it's Queen Victoria's face with the lion and the unicorn. And it's fairly poorly made, fairly early machine lace, but you can see this being sold, by the meter to dedicated supporters of the crown. So that's machine-made lace, and I have a piece of contemporary machine-made lace, which I like because, again, the technique is very similar to what Victorians were using. So this is a portrait called Kathy by, again, a local Sydney artist called Jane Theo, and this is machine-made lace. She uses, normal sewing machine, and she embroiders on like a dissolvable solvate fabric. So contemporary fabrics, we have fabrics that can dissolve in water rather than a chemical bath, which is great for, health reasons.
Yes.
But aside from the fact that it's dissolving in water rather than chemicals, it's essentially the same process as the chemical lace we saw before. But in this case, she's using it to make this huge, almost life-size portrait in a machine lace. And I love how it casts the shadows on the wall from...
Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, wow.
Very nice. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Just
it's fun.
You can just imagine why the lace makers were so upset. Decades of having this exclusive business and art to themselves, and then to have it basically ripped away from them. Yeah.
Centuries even, and it was such a important part of a lot of families' income. We'll chat about that a bit later with our Irish lace. I'll quickly show you just a couple of really nice lace pieces here before we go upstairs. This is a piece of 19th century lace called Jerusalem lace, and again, unusual because it's colored lace. Very, very fine. So that's a really beautiful style there. It originated in Venice, but eventually became very popular after it was exhibited in the Paris exhibition of 1878, and it became hugely popular. There's also this stunning piece called Belgian war lace. This is from World War I. So after the German army, invaded and occupied Belgium during the First World War, the borders were blockaded to stop supplies getting into Germany via Belgium. And you had over 7 million Belgians cut off from imported food, at the risk of starvation. And so the Allies started something called the Commission for the Relief of Belgium, with a wealthy American industrialist, Herbert Hoover, am I saying that right? Later US president, as chairman. Yeah, so he orchestrated the delivery of food and supplies to Belgium, which included whole shipments of thread for this massive community of lace makers that existed in Belgium at the time. So you had tens of thousands of women making this bobbin lace, which would then be exported to allied countries who would buy it as a sort of show of support and as a way to support the Belgian economy during this time. And they would often include motifs that sort of would appeal to the Allies. So you've got the bear up here for Russia, you've got the lion for Belgium, the rooster for France, and you've got the unicorn for Great Britain.
Yeah.
And because it was exported so widely, a lot of Allied countries will have examples of this lace, but it's just sort of, it shows you how important lace can be to an economy. Okay. We might head into the next section. Is that okay if we keep walking?
You bet.
Great. Yes. Okay. I'll just mention a couple of laces out here. So this board is looking at
you have it everywhere in that building.
Everywhere. You'll trip over lace. So this is cut work, which your cut work, pulled and drawn thread work, which I think people will be maybe a bit more familiar with, but a lot of that is an early style of lace. So obviously in cut work, you're cutting away from a base fabric. In pulled and drawn thread work, you're removing or sort of pulling stitches out of that that fabric. So that's a very common style. This is Richelieu, or which is that sort of, very common in tablecloth, that kind of thing, quite retro, but quite an earlier Italian style of cut work. This beautiful piece, this doily here, is some Hedebo, which is Danish, and it originated in the 1760s in Denmark, and it sort of combines cut work, drawn thread work, and white work. This piece here is Mexican drawn work, so drawing threads out of the base fabric and then sort of manipulating them into position to make this lace effect. And this is a small version of Mexican drawn work. So different motifs, but again, still a very effective lace style. This is the Italian sort of equivalent of that. This is punto tirato, which is basically just pulled work in Italian as a mat. And this is an incredibly fine Dresden lace remnant from a collar from the 18th century. And this is, believe it or not, a combination of pulled and drawn thread work and surface stitchery. But the pulled work is incredibly, incredibly fine. So, you know, here's a pin for context. It is the most, you know, and this is different patterns being achieved. I can hold my arm still.
Holy smokes.
Oh my.
They're the same size as, or in some cases smaller than a pinprick. You know, like if I put a hole in that, it would punch a hole bigger than the holes in the pattern. But the muslin it's worked on is so incredibly fine that you can pull out this, you know, I say you can, like, you know, you can pull out this, like, but how do you isolate that single very, very fine thread and pull it out to make this, you know, gorgeous pattern?
Wow. Oh yeah, look, there's the pin. There's the pin right there, so we can.
Yeah, pin context. Sorry, I'm trying to focus.
Wow.
And even the surface stitchery is just very, very fine embroidery. It's sort of got a sort of soft, feathery look. So that is, you know, cut work, pull and draw. And again, people often wouldn't necessarily categorize that as lace, but it really, you know, should be. Yes. This is a set of 3 grass linen mats from the Philippines. And they're, again, drawn thread work with a needle woven center. But, you know, a very unique but still very distinctive lace style. We might quickly skip over this one. This is embroidered net. So you get a machine-made net normally and then embroider over it. This is actually a hand-knotted net. So they've made the net by hand and then embroidered over it. Some people are suckers for punishment.
Oh,
so the net is fine.
That's more than I want to do.
No. Yeah. No.
No.
Gary's sobbing in a corner here.
Oh my
this piece beneath it I really like though. This is it's a machine-made net, but very early. This is probably from the early 1800s. So basically that as early as machine net was available, and it's embroidered on top of that. It's French, and there's these gorgeous little bees with wings that come off that are, you know, raised. And I think it was Napoleonic because the bee is symbolic of Napoleon. But yeah, very, very fine.
So we have lace with stump work.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, I think it's a needle lace wing that's been attached, but the rest of it is just embroidered over the net. And finally, downstairs, before we finally take you upstairs, is this is all knotted and woven lace, which is a bit of a misnomer, I guess, because technically all lace is knotted. But, you know, that's the primary technique. It's more like knotting a fisherman's net than, you know, anything else. So these are sort of knotted and netted doilies. These are colonial Australian. We were very into the knotted doilies in colonial Australia. These are Nanduti lace doilies, which are from Paraguay. So you've got very... again, more circular motifs. And we have these gorgeous Nanduti lace handkerchiefs as well. This one's from 1912, we know. The others we're less certain of. But it's very, very fine knotting and needle weaving. So weaving in, you know, back into that pattern that you've made. This is a large Turkish lace knotted mat from the 1880s. And again, there's some smaller versions of that. This is one everyone will know. I think this is a very fine sample of macrame, which again, I sort of picture as being large pot plants, but it can be a sort of lace substitute. These are Armenian knotted lace, which again is maybe a slightly more well-known style. The fan shape here is more Nanduti lace from Paraguay. And then this little one here is Tenerife lace, which again is a fairly well-known one. It's a little bit heavier, but quite well-known. And then you've got Halas needle-woven lace, which is from Hungary. So that is...
You can really see the different style. Each one has its own flavor to it.
Yeah, they're quite diverse, but the techniques are very similar, which is why we've included them together.
Yeah. Someone asking about if we have lucette netting.
Ooh, I haven't come across that term. I might give it a Google. Frustratingly as well, sometimes, and I'm not sure where they're asking from, things will have different terms in the rest of the world in the US. So you guys, I think, call Honiton lace any tape lace, whereas Honiton lace, everyone else it's only the Bobbin Honiton, not any other tape lace. So let's do this floor, then we'll head up to the final floor. This is lace in garments. So
good fill going up the stairs. I was hoping that Beth would sing while you went up the stairs, but
no singing.
Getting my steps in. Next time, Beth, I expect this. So these are two beautiful little children's dresses from the mid 1800s, and they are in, again, a style most people will know. It's a sort of embroidery anglaise. So a lot of buttonholing there, but and very popular lace style on clothing. Got a whole bunch of lace parasols here, which we might sort of skip over a little bit. Most of these are machine lace, mimicking a hand lace style. So this is a Victorian parasol. So it's a carriage parasol because it collapses so you can get in and out of your carriage, and it's a machine lace mimicking a chantilly lace. Again, this is the machine lace parasol mimicking a Venetian gros point. And as far as we can tell, this is a sort of Honiton lace style, or princess lace. It's hard to be sure on that one. Got some more lace nightcaps there in filet and embroidered net. So sort of from the mid 1800s to the 1920s. Now we've got some gorgeous garments here. And I love this piece which we included because we need to remember that lace is not a feminine thing. This was once very much a, style of choice for the gentleman. So this is a...
You could pull it off, Gary.
Yeah. Oh, darn.
I think you could, Gary.
Darn.
I think you look very dapper in this.
Yeah, I'm just torn up. That went out of fashion.
Yeah. So this is an 18th century suit. But with 19th century lace. So the suit is original, but it's been adapted for fancy dress in the 19th century. We know this, even though, this would have been a lace style worn by men from, basically since lace was invented 1500s, 1600s onwards. So we know it's been adapted because the lace is 19th century lace. This is Honiton lace. And remember, we spoke about the fact that Honiton lace was popularized in the 19th century by Queen Victoria. The jabot and cuffs have also been stitched into the coat, which you would never have done historically because you want to mix and match. But, if you're wearing it for the theatre or for fancy dress, it's beautiful handmade bobbin lace. But, it's been attached to this garment. But it gives you a really good impression of, gentleman's lace over the years. Mm-hmm. These two little dresses are from the 1920s. This one's actually a wedding dress. And it is sort of cream silk and cotton, and it's a machine-made filet lace again. But, very beautiful, very much sort of the era. There's a sort of unfortunate little barrier there, but that's all right. And this is a day dress from the 1920s. So again, all machine-made lace. You know, you've got a sort of machine-made taped lace and inserts. But, you know, these are the styles I wish would come back in fashion, Gary. I just think they're gorgeous. The next two are Edwardian, so sort of 1890s. This is a beautiful Edwardian day gown in apricot silk. And again, all machine-made lace, but quite a good quality one, I'd say. And it's mimicking traditional styles. So this is what probably closest to like a Amelia R's sort of Reticella-ish style. And then the braid around the edge is, again, machine-made, but mimicking Carrick Macross, which we looked at downstairs. And it's got these gorgeous sort of crocheted bobbles as well, which I just adore.
Man, there's a lot in that. I bet that
yeah,
dress,
so even
that
as
machine
machine
cost $1 or $2. Wow.
Exactly. So you can understand how the, you know, Edwardians got madly into full lace dresses when for the first time they could sort of, you know, produce quite decent quality machine laces. And this is a nightgown from the same period. And again, you know, you would never have, you know, wasted this much lace on a nightgown before, but now suddenly that it's machine made or, you know, you can use machine made braids, you can afford to go a lot more extra on the insertion of lace into a nightgown.
Yeah.
Now, since we're up here, you can see the lace panels from the inside a little bit better maybe on this floor. See if we can get any. So this is sort of our view now. It's all disrupted by lace panels, which is...
Boy, those worked out great, didn't they? Wow.
Yeah, really good. And actually, yeah, I really like the color as well. So, so that is lace and fashion. Let me swing you around and we'll head upstairs to the third and final story. Oh, Beth, I expect a soundtrack now.
For the record, Floss Toss.
No singing.
For the record, Floss Toss, I'm
No
not
singing.
rocking any lace. It ain't happening.
Yeah. And how would they keep those things, the outfits clean?
Oh, exactly. So this is why you never would have stitched it to the thing, because you'd be wearing undergarments to protect it from you. You try to wash the undergarments rather than the, you know, the top layers as much as possible. So
right.
This is our lunchroom in the guild, which is taken over by lace as well, because we can't help ourselves. We won't pause here, but this is all commemorative Australian lace, which we included just because it's sort of, you know, kitsch and charming. It's mostly all crocheted lace, but, you know, you've got Advanced Australia Fair, which is our national anthem, Peace, 1919, Sydney Bridge, Harbour Bridge was opened 1932. So all these doilies are sort of, you know, commemorative of that. You've got this lovely one with shells around the outside, success to the Allies, and then just, you know, more kangaroos basically everywhere. But, you know, we had to throw those in. Now, I'll quickly bring you over to our Irish crochet board. So crochet lace was originally developed in France, but as a sort of simpler way to imitate that Venetian gros point that we saw at the start. But it came to Ireland in the early 1700s, but took off in a big way in the 1800s, 1840s, when the potato famine hit Ireland. And the craft was popularized as a cottage industry. So there was schools set up, convent schools, to teach women how to crochet lace, which would then be again sold to support the families during famine. Queen Victoria put this enormous order in for like meters and meters of the stuff. She could never possibly get through it. And she promoted the fashion very deliberately as part of the famine relief schemes. So these actually wide net sleeves from probably around the mid 1800s. So again, that sort of Victorian gown, if you can picture that. Some quite fine Irish lace crochet there. Wow. We've also got these beautiful sleeves from sort of the late 1890s. You know, the sort of leg of mutton style sleeves that are very tight on the forearm, but then they ballooned that. But this is exceptionally fine crocheted lace. It's hard to pick out the pattern a bit because it's, you know, doubled up as a sleeve, but you've got these very fine picot kind of, accentuations on the lace.
Yeah, as you pause there, yeah, you can start to pick out all the detail. Look at all that. Wow.
It's just amazing. And it's crocheted?
It's
Not
crochet,
cut.
yeah. And they've got raised little flowers as well. So yeah, incredibly fine work. That's interesting. This is also a very nice piece. You've got a lot more sort of the raised, these called cloner's knots. So again, you get that sort of lovely texture happening. And then you've got other sort of crochet. So this is a knitting, this is called hairpin crochet, which was a,
Oh no.
There's another even I like this one a lot, but with the linen inset. But this is again a very fine hairpin crochet doily.
Okay. Did they make those with? I gotta ask. Do you know if they made those with and it looked like a hairpin, like a big U sort of thing?
I'm not certain, to be honest. I mean, that suggests, or is it just the fineness of the the style that gives it that sort of appearance? But
you're bringing back a childhood memory, is why, because I remember learning to do something, and she called it hairpin crochet, and you crochet down the middle. But it was like huge. I'm doing it with my hand. You can't see me. But,
yeah.
But yeah, that's really what it looked like.
Yeah, exactly. But just to think about really fine needles, this is our knitted crochet, knitted lace board. And knitting gets a very hard time in the lace world. People are like, oh, so knitted and tattered lace here. And people are like, oh, knitted lace, it doesn't count, it's too chunky. This knitted lace piece was worked with 0.8 millimeter needles. And again, it's so fine.
Try to do that riding on a bus.
Yeah, definitely not.
Wow.
It's incredibly fine. I've got some larger examples as well, but this pattern and frankly a lot of these very fine lace patterns were designed by a guy called Herbert Niebling, who was an Austrian guy born at sort of early 1900s. And he's got a great story. At age 6, he's teaching the girls in his class how to knit. At age, 9, he copies a grandmaster portrait from a postcard in needle lace without first making a pattern.
Oh my!
As an adult, he starts his own knitted lace pattern making business, but then is conscripted into the German army during World War I. Ends up as a prisoner of war, and in the POW camp, he's knitting these incredibly intricate lace tablecloths for his commanding officers in the camp. So it's this kind of style. This again are all knitted. These are much larger pieces, but the knitting is so incredibly fine.
Wow!
And you've got again these beautiful raised knots on it that kind of accent it. And we've got a few more examples of those, but I just think they're just stunning, and you can really see the fineness of the lace. I should have mentioned this is a lovely little collar in what Australians call fairy lace. So again, it's all knitted, but it's just very, very fine threads, fine needles, and definitely a kind of lace. So these are more lace tablecloths. These are designs by Herbert Niebling. He was very into botany, and he made a lot of designs that were almost, anatomically accurate flowers.
Wow.
So yeah, beautiful. I really like this one. So that brings us to the end of the wonderful world of lace.
Well, I say bravo, April. Bravo.
Very good.
Wow.
Yes.
What a treat.
Thanks, guys.
Yes. 3 floors of it.
Yeah, 3 stories of it. And we had to cull. We could have had so much more, but we had to trim the fat, just show the essentials.
That is it's an amazing collection. And now, where did you get them from?
So a lot of them are ours. So we have an historic collection here at the Guild. We also have loan pieces from the Australian Lace Guild, from the National Trust of Wales, so our local National Trust, and from private collectors. So Annette Meldrum, Eleanor Keane, a few others have loaned us individual pieces to you know, of things that we simply had to have. So
Right.
yeah, that's sort of where it's all come from.
Well, that is absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. That was fun.
Yeah.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Let me just
Wow.
hopefully I'm back in person. Hello.
Still black. There you are.
Okay, give us a
there
second.
she
Good.
is.
Good.
Wow,
Very good.
that was a treat. That's a huge exhibit for you guys to put together too.
Yeah, that was basically a full week putting it together. And of course, a lot of the work was pinning the lace on boards because it's so fine and delicate and fragile that I had volunteers working, you know, very long days pinning that for me and hanging it. So yeah, it was good fun, but I'm glad it's up on the walls now.
Yeah, it's a beautiful exhibit. Thanks. Wow, thank you. That was
Pleasure.
terrific.
Thank
Absolute
you.
pleasure.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks. We'll give your arm a rest and let you go back to your day job.
Thank you. This is my day job, I know.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks so much, April. That was a lot of fun. And folks, it's wetalkfiber.com/lace. We'll get you the exhibit PDF book that April put together. So download that. And thanks again. Always a treat, April. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thanks, Gary and Bev. Love chatting
Thank
to you
you.
guys.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining us. And we'll see you next Wednesday.